Yeah, now Brigadier Apte sir has come and joined, sir.
Brigadier Apte will definitely ask me.
Yes, sir, he is there, and with your permission, I'll ask him to ask you question.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
acha, okay. Hello, Aji.
He is there, sir,
Acha,
on the
acha,
call.
okay, good.
Yeah, sir,
Acha, good.
please.
Excellent,
Hi.
sir.
Ajit, how are you?
All fine, sir. I have sounded Surekha. She will talk to you. She told me that we knew him as brother Bhargava. I said, yes, that's right.
Of course, Rekha.
He's got very fond memories, and your story was excellent, sir. In fact, I was the one who was the master of ceremonies for releasing of Dilip Parolkar's book in Bombay. It was done in great style.
Oh, acha, acha,
very big level.
Faith Johnson book.
Yes. He has written a book on his prisoners. How he attempted the.
I know. I got that book with me. I got that book with me.
So that release.
Faith had come to me also. No? Faith had come to me also.
Yes, sir. So
she spent a good full day with me.
Yeah. So
and
that book. I was the master of ceremony. I'll try and send you that picture and also to TBR. And
Yes,
it was released by none less than Sachin Tendulkar, who was called that day. And there's
Very good.
Picture of me with Dilip, and there's another picture because I keep meeting Dilip out here. That is number one. And since I'm also the senior vice president and chairman of the National Defence Academy Alumni Association, so I keep interacting with Dilip Parolkar, who's in Pune. That is one. Secondly, the story, of course, right from the beginning is fantastic, as TBR said. And TBR spoke to me in the morning today. So one point which you mentioned about Mullah Feroz. Mullah Feroz was captured with one of my regiment officers, DM Framrose Dastur, whom you know. And
no, Dastur.
Dastur is from my regiment.
Oh, I see. Dastur ka you have a number of Dastur?
Yes, sir. I will send it to you.
Please.
Regular contact with Dastur. He's from my regiment.
Okay.
And what happened that day was he was the ground liaison officer. And PBR, and he said many of the Air Force people want to know what is the combination between the GLO and the FAC, because Mullah Feroz was the FAC. So with your permission, I will just explain to them. The GLO informs the FAC what are the ground targets, enemy targets that have come up on our joint operations information conference. Where are the enemy tanks? Where are the enemy guns? Where are the enemy concentrations? And what all the ground intelligence have reported other than your Air Force intelligence? That is point number one. Second point is, when the Air Force launches, when the pilots go on an air defense mission, just like what Don Lazarus, Massey, Ganpati and Suarez did, which I am witness to because I subsequently blindfolded Parvez Bedi and Khalil Ahmed when they were shot down over my gun position. That was an air defense mission where the forward air controller Sharad Sabur played no part. But he was there. And the fighter controller is the one who controls the Air Force sortie on air defense missions. That is one part. But the ground liaison officer, if there are any changes to be made on the bomb line by the ground troops, because the bomb lines will keep changing. So it is very essential. Otherwise, you will know if you have, those of us who've read military history will know that in the Second World War, there were quite a few casualties when the bomb lines were not clearly defined. And the Royal Air Force and the US Air Force have bombed own troops and they've lost something up to 500 people killed.
Oh my God.
Yes, it's a huge calamity.
Yeah.
So the redefining of the bomb lines is very important. Today, I think it must be all done digitally with with those geostatic systems and your GPS and all that. In the olden times when Air Commodore Bhargava and all flew, the bomb lines were demarcated by the ground liaison officer who showed indicated landmarks on the ground which the pilot had to pick up, and that was not easy. So that is an important task. Secondly is, the FAC then uses the GU 734 and gets onto the net of the pilot and directs him where to go and what to do and what are the pull-up points. So I also learned this from Air Marshal Sharad Sabur, that time flight lieutenant with me in the 71 war on the Jessore front. But the FAC plays a very important role along with the GLO. in this case, as Air Commodore Bhargava is brought out, Mullah Feroz and Dastur drove in by mistake into Pakistan territory without knowing that the Pakistanis have advanced in that area. And for your information, war on the Western Front was more of a holding action. The main task of liberating Bangladesh was with us. So the Western Front opened up because of the Eastern Front, our Air Force knocking out their Air Force, and the Battle of Garipur, in which we set the stage for the battle, which upset Yahya Khan and he declared emergency. So the wrath of the Pakistan Air Force was unleashed on the Indian airfields, and that is what made our Air Force strike back and Indira Gandhi declare war. So that was one important part, how the attacks took place, and Mullah Feroz and Framrose didn't know that the lines have changed, thinking that they are Indian troops, because on the Western Front, all Indian army formations wore khaki. So that is where Mullah Feroz, and I have heard the story from Dastur because he's from my regiment. Mullah was driving, Dastur was sitting next to him, and the driver and one escort was at the back. So when Mullah Feroz drove in, Dastur got down, and Dastur is quite a jovial chap, as Air Commodore Bhargava will tell you. He got down and he said, "Tuम इधर आओ, हमको बताओ तुम्हारा सीओ साहब किधर है?" In that typical Parsi language.
Yeah, he was asking. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that guy realized ये Indian लोग हैं, so he said, "साहब आगे आ जाओ, हम बताते हैं." So they recognized the Indian jeep. At that moment, Mullah Feroz, who was inside the jeep, realized that they have landed up amongst Pakistanis. So Mullah Feroz tried to turn the jeep around and escape. But Dastur was already on the ground. He couldn't run. So Mullah Feroz, thinking that he's trying to escape, the Pakistanis opened fire on him. He got injured badly, as Air Commodore Bhargava has already mentioned. Dastur and he were then captured. And then, of course, whatever happened, Air Commodore Bhargava knows best. But rightly so, Mullah Feroz was repatriated in February because of his injuries. And he came back. And one point which happened was we had captured 93,000 prisoners. And there were a large number of officers captured by us. In fact, I have witnessed the surrender at Khulna of nearly 9 to 10,000 troops. There were a number of officers. But the way we looked after them, they themselves, I know of a Colonel Minhas today, he's retired, he's in touch with me. The Pakistani officers even today write to him, thanking him that the way you looked after us. In fact, I have done prisoner of war duty in Ranchi for one day in 1973 when the prisoners were still there. Believe me, the Indian Army vacated the barracks and they stayed in tents, but the Pakistani prisoners were put in proper barracks.
Oh God.
You have seen the movie The Great Escape in 1944 or 43, when the Air Force prisoners were massacred, 55 of them. Air Commodore Bhargava will sometime probably mention this in his memoirs or in his book. And in that mission, these prisoners escaped, 76 of them. So similarly, as Air Commodore Bhargava has brought out, the Air Force and the Army prisoners were always kept separately. But the Pakistan government knew that if they don't treat our prisoners properly, those 100 or so, then we can do anything to their prisoners. 93,000 we had with them. But we looked after them well. They have acknowledged it. And that day when I did duty with 8th Madras in 1973 as a bachelor, I spent the night there. I actually moved along the wire fencing, as Air Commodore Bhargava has mentioned, with Major Briju Singh from 8th Madras, who was with me in the war. And I saw how the searchlights moved, how our troops were patrolling. So it is not an easy task even for the guards who are there, because even if one prisoner escapes, then anything can happen. And finally, I will close so that others can ask their questions. But in front of us from Ranchi Military Hospital, one prisoner, Pakistani doctor, escaped. And the reason was that there were too many prisoners and the medical facilities were required. So the Indian Army told the Pakistani doctors that you can attend to your prisoners. And remember, as Air Commodore Bhargava has mentioned, after some time, some complacency sets in. Yes. So our doctors became very friendly with the Pakistani doctors. And the Pakistani doctor had a beard. So what he did one day was, he told them, I will do RMO duty. He went to the bathroom, shaved off his complete beard, so his appearance changed. He wore the doctor's gown, took the stethoscope, walked out to the sentry at the Namkum hospital gate. I have seen it. And he told him, beta, इधर बहुत गिरफ्तार है, prisoners हैं, इस गेट को हमेशा बंद रखो. He saluted him. He said, ठीक है साहब. So this guy walked out and that sentry closed the gate. He didn't know that this is a Pakistani prisoner of war doctor walking out. That prisoner walked out. He got onto a nearby train because the railway station from MH Namkum was hardly 4 kilometers. He got onto a train because below his gown was a civilian dress. He escaped. And after going back to Pakistan, he wrote a letter of thanks to the Indian Army for looking after him. On that note, I will close it and let the others ask their questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
very much.
Yeah, I think others can also ask, unmute and ask the question. Pathak, sir.
I am Subhash Chandra Bose, asking three things, two informations and one major issue, that GLO and FCA, basically they are all of ground control interception, which is actually doing this work. Now the second part, per this book point of it, the world famous book on this particular jail breakdowns and escaping from the jail is written by Henry Cherry, who escaped several jails in France during the Second World War time. That book is known as, in English pronunciation, Papillon, and in French pronunciation, Papillon. So in that particular book, he has very nicely explained, and the world is very famous book, this particular book. It can be referred several ways of the narrations which have been given by Air Commodore Bhargava sir is also matching with kind of explanations what Henry Cherry has given his personal experiences during his escaping from several jails of the France. So particularly this Papillon or Papillon, so which can be also referred if it is a very useful and internationally famous book for particularly jail breakdown during the Second World War time. And this book was released in 1969. So this is the basic information about the jail breakdowns, internationally famous book. This is one point. Now the second point which I wanted to ask Air Commodore Bhargava sir, he mentioned one thing, 90 degrees that attack is something very strange and abnormal or something strange. But I would like to ask him one thing. In Indian Air Force, when the fighter pilots are flying, they are taught one particular way of fighting that is called 90 degrees beam attack. So what is that 90 degrees beam attack? And the 90 degrees something abnormally which happened, that particular sortie which he has mentioned. So I would like to know from him, what is this difference between the 90 degrees beam attack and the 90 degrees attack?
First of all, remember one thing, good old days, our time, if you have to have air-to-air fight, you have to be behind the aircraft in about maximum 30 degrees cone, because that will facilitate the gun sight to stabilize properly, and you can hit the actual cockpit of the aircraft. It is so accurate at that time. When you are at an angle, because he is also having forward movement, here you are going along with him. You may be having slightly extra speed, but the direction is the same. Here the direction is different. He is coming like that and he is moving. It is beam attack 90 degree is a fluke. It normally, today though it is standoff. Today though you know what it is. Today 40 kilometers away you can be shot down. Without seeing the target you can be shot down. So that is okay. Today's scenario is different. I'm talking about good old days. Anyway,
sir, I was referring to the time of your time only.
No, there 90 degree beam attack though I never heard of.
Yes, sir.
90 degree beam attack, there was no such thing, 90 degree beam attack. And by the way, I would like to share with you that throughout my life, I was in the ground attack squadrons. Perhaps you are right. If I was in interceptors or, then I would have known this. To be frank with you, I am not supposed to fight in the air. I am supposed to drop my load and come back, hugging the ground. My aircraft is not capable to fight any aircraft for that matter.
Right,
It's
sir.
a foolish thing for me as a ground attack aircraft to pick up a fight with an interceptor. I'm asking for trouble. However,
True, sir.
it's a fluke. In fluke, anything is likely to happen. You can even head on, you can attack and fire him and he may still go. It is, that's a fluke. It is not a
True, sir.
standard way of
Very true,
Okay.
sir. Very true. Sir, for your information, sir, which I mentioned about the book called Papillon or
I
Papillon.
read it.
So this book, I think you must have read as you're
I read
writing
it.
the jail escapism.
Hmm.
So you must have read it, Henry Cherry book of.
There are so many books on this. Interesting. But books, 90% are okay, but 10% is some mirchi masala. Okay. Likewise, in a movie also, you will find any war movie that truth is about 70 to 80%. Baki 20% is masala. And that 20%
Right, sir.
masala.
But this papillon means butterfly. This papillon means butterfly. And that butterfly, if you see anywhere, even the book, movie was also made Papillon.
Yes.
So
Yes. There was a
Papillon.
movie.
So even
Correct.
this was made as a movie, very famous and practical and realistic one, which is a personal experience. This gentleman, when he heard about the people are making adventurous jail breaks and jail escapism, then he said, more than me, who has done it? So with the context of that, this Henry Cherry has written this Papillon book, and the Papillon movie is also there. It may be just useful for you, sir, if you just go through that book also for
I
your
read
experience,
it
because
long back,
it is
Babylon.
similar
I read
with
it
you,
long
actually.
back. I read it before the 71 war itself.
True, sir. True,
But,
sir. That is what. Even my high school time, I read this particular book.
Hmm.
I was just a high school student, about 9th class, 10th class. That time, I read this Papillon book before
Yeah.
joining the Air Force.
Okay.
But please, whatever books one reads, a pilot should not concentrate only on those points. You never know what
It's just a
situation you
reference,
come
yeah.
under. If you follow Papillon, you may be Dapillon. so it
It's a
depends on the
referential, sir,
situation.
when for book point of it. Yeah.
Yes,
you
sir.
depend on
Okay.
situation, which situation you get into.
Right.
Okay. Thank
That
you
is
so much,
practical. Thank you,
Bhaskar.
sir.
Thank you.
Can you?
Yeah,
Good question.
Nurul sir,
Varsh.
Nurul Amin sir, and Bhavani Shankar gar. Yes.
Good evening to all, sir. And, good evening to the aircom, sir.
Good evening to you.
Really, it is 2.5 hours over. You have been doing a great marathon. Information what you have given, we are totally thrilled, and a total of 1 year in the POW. And really, we appreciate your courage, and you are very polite. You have not tried any other outer way to
Nural Mian,
attract the attention.
courage was no choice. We had no other choice. If we didn't have courage, we would have, I don't know.
You have handled it very politely and very tactfully.
Everyone,
To them, and luckily you have came up with the grace of God. Now, just I want to know, during your POW time, have you ever felt that you lost the hope of your life? And in which occasion?
sorry, come again. I have not.
During your POW time.
Have you ever lost your
Ever lost
hope
the
of
hope
return,
of your
sir?
life?
Lost hope for life, never.
Yeah, it's because of the threatening or the.
No. Only thing, remember, if you are hearing the first episode of mine,
Yeah.
when this fellow said, Dalenu Golimar, that time the fear has come.
Yeah.
But that fear was, and that lasted for good about half an hour plus.
Okay.
Okay. But otherwise, by and large, dekho, you are in enemy territory. Anything can happen. You know something, after dinner we used to walk. And guard was on top of us at the back. So we used to ensure that most of the time we are walking into the guard and not back towards him.
Okay.
Even fear was there. The inbuilt fear was there.
Yeah.
So that is, I think, unavoidable. It is natural. It is
Yeah, human.
natural.
Yeah, thank you.
After returning, sir, after you were returning back from prison, what was the treatment given by the Air Force authorities?
Very
was there any
nice.
questioning or any?
Incidentally, question, no, we, like normal court inquiry. And by the way, I would share with you all that 1:21 was the for making wing commander. 1:21. What a kind of deep selection policy. I made it in that list.
Oh, that's
First
great.
board, I made it as group captain. First board, group captain. First board, air commodore. First board, air vice marshal. Incidentally,
Wow.
you don't know, I didn't share with you. I was cleared for AVM by the Air Force Board on 2nd February 94. But due to some personal reasons, I had no choice but to go.
Oh,
And even Air Chief Call told me, brother, you are doing a wrong thing, yaar. मैं सर मेरे पास और कोई choice नहीं है. I have to go.
Okay.
After having cleared for AVM, I left Air Force. And this was my first board, AVM first board. And by the way, the second board, I was still in Air Force. That happened on 6th February 95. And that board, since I was in Air Force, they cleared me.
Both the times.
So both the time I was cleared for AVM. But I had to go somehow. I left. But incidentally, I had gone, I had put in my papers on 28th January 95. 28th January 95, I had put in my papers. And 6th February 95 was my board where my papers had not reached the government. And I was cleared. I remember Air Marshal Naresh Kumar called me up in the evening. He said, brother, I heard you are left. I said, sir, yes, sir, I have put in my papers. He said, no, you can withdraw that. I said, sir, withdraw तो पिछले साल भी ऐसे नहीं हुआ था. There is some reason, sir, behind it. Then I explained to him and I met him. So, Air Force has done everything for me, for every one of us. Not a single POW can say that I was ill-treated just because we were POWs. If you're taking panga, then sorry, Nurul Miyan, ये तो फिर गफला है ना. So, then you don't. Panga हो जाता तो अलग बात होती है. After all, it's a merit based. The promotion is on your performances. And that you cannot deny. Whether you're POW or whatever, may not be POW. Why are you talking about that? I will not name. But Veer Chakra with Bar, he had not made it. और क्या चाहिए आपको?
You are recognized. Your service to the nation is recognized by the Air
Veer
Force.
Chakra in both wars, and you don't make it. There's something wrong somewhere. Na? So, it's very sad.
Can I say something?
Great salute, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Finally, Bhavani Shankar, sir, if you would like to ask anything. Otherwise,
Mr. TVR,
sir.
can
Yes, sir.
I just say something 1 minute only?
Yeah, please, sir, please.
See, Air Commodore Bhargava is absolutely correct. I want to emphasize this point. Just getting a Paramveer Chakra or an MVC bar and VRC bar does not mean that the person will become an air marshal or a general. He has got that award for that particular action which he did at that time. That does not mean that in the competitive batch merit he will continue to rise. This is the wrong misnomer even in the Army, Navy and the Air Force. I have known Paramveer Chakras who have been superseded as majors. So that we should get it very clear. They have a wrong misnomer that ye Paramveer Chakra hai, isne to general banna chahiye. Sorry. He does not have it in him to become a general. He got awarded for that particular deed. He cannot count on those laurels and think that I'll become a general. That is one misnomer, which correctly Air Commodore Bhargava brought out. Second, very important point he brought out. You see, he would have been an Air Vice Marshal and probably an Air Marshal 3-star General. But remember, Flight Lieutenant Parvez Mehdi, whom I have seen as a PW, I saw him within 1 hour of being captured, rose to be the Pakistan Air Chief. General Kumaramangalam from the Indian Army was captured by the Germans. He became Chief of the Army Staff. General Niazi, who was the butcher of Bangladesh, General Yahya Khan, they were all captured. Sahibzada Yaqub Khan, they were all captured by the Germans. There was no Pakistan Army that time. It was only the British Indian Army. They were all captured. 4 of them have become Chiefs of Army Staff. So there is no D-bar. I have my own divisional officer in the NDA was a prisoner against the Chinese, became a Major General. So let us get this very clear. They were captured because the circumstances were such. There was no mistake on their part. That is the point which Air Commodore Bhargava is bringing, which unfortunately not only the defense personnel like the Army, Navy and the Air Force, but the civilians think that if he was captured, how is he? Arey bhai, that is a different story. There are this present Army Chief General Narawne's uncle was a prisoner of war by the Germans against Rommel in North Africa. He became a Major General. So this part, sir, with your permission, I just thought I'll amplify this part. Thank you, sir.
We have Nanda Kriappa.
Yes, Nanda Karyappa. He was a prisoner in 65.
Yes, sir. We had a call.
Air Marshal. He was by the put up for chief also.
Yes.
Actually, he was one of the
In
four
fact-
people for
In
chief.
fact, I'll tell you, TBR, my father was commanding a brigade in Firozpur, Fazilka sector in 65 war.
Sir.
My father has served with his father, General Karyappa, CNC India.
Sir.
And Ayub Khan sent a message through my father that I want to return my very dear friend CNC Karyappa's son.
Sir, yeah.
Field Marshal Karyappa gave a reply to Ayub Khan, no, my son is not the only son you have with you. All prisoners are my sons.
Very
Either
great.
return all my sons, or you can keep my son as long as you want to keep him.
A great statement. Yes,
And
sir.
that is how Air Marshal Karyappa, your AOCC, when he was captured as a flight lieutenant, waited till all prisoners in 65 came back. So
Sir.
that is the hallmark of generalship, as Air Commodore Bhargava pointed out.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Ajay.
We'll take one more question and close, sir, with our Bhargava sir's permission. Anybody?
बताइए.
Bhavani Shankar.
Sir, good evening, sir. I am Vansa B.S. Sharma from Jaipur.
हाँ जी,
Today,
शर्मा जी.
I have just, by your narration, I just think I am seeing a movie of a war, actually. Your excellent, that narration, and thanks a lot, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nice. Sharma ji, you are in Jaipur?
Yes, sir. I am from Jaipur.
Acha. Okay, good.
Thank you so much, Air Commodore Bhargava sir, for your wonderful
Thank you,
narration.
everybody. Thank you, Mr.
A
Rao.
great-
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Pathak.
great storytelling. So really inspiring. So you touched our heart, sir, with the way you narrated the story and faced the challenges bravely, and really hats up to all your all 10 officers who are PWs along with you.
Not able to hear. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, I thank everybody, sir, particularly our Brigadier Apte, sir, and all other air warriors on the call for making this program a grand success. Yeah, in fact, if I wanted to ask so many questions, I think we're already late. Anyway, sir, thank you so much, Air Commodore Bhargava, sir. We would like to see you on our on 31st October in our meeting, sir. Yes, sir, I can hear, sir. I can. So, okay, sir, thank you so much.